be showing you an Instagram Reels storyboard recipe from me, Amanda, at Blogs by Jarvis. You can find more recipes in the recipe club at blogsbyjarvis.com/recipe club. So just to run through some basics of the Jarvis platform before we get started, here I've added 3 little asterisks. That means that Jarvis doesn't see any of the information here. That's just for you guys. That's nothing to do with the document that we're writing. And if you're unsure about how to run Jarvis commands, if you have a look under the little pink arrow here, you'll be able to find your keyboard shortcuts, and it'll remind you things like Command J, or Control if you're on a PC, is the same as hitting the Compose button if you don't like to hit buttons and you like shortcuts. And then Command Enter helps you run a Jarvis command, or my favourite, Command Shift Enter helps you run a Jarvis command but leaves the command in place. As we go through, I'll show you why that's very important to me, but basically it just means that you can run the command multiple times without having to delete the previous generation. So before we start, let's just have a look at Instagram Reels and what should a reel include or take into account. So when you're writing your storyboard for your reel, you want to know what the reel is going to be about. You want to understand what you're telling your audience. You want to make sure that your story has a beginning and a middle and an end. And what emotion do you hope your audience feels when they watch your reel? And more importantly, what action do you want them to take? Now we have a command here, write a storyboard for an Instagram reel for the topic H1, and you're probably wondering what that is. So anything in a recipe in curly brackets is a variable that you want to replace with your own content. So let's give Jarvis here some information to work with. So I'm just going to make a little bit of space, and then I'm going to paste in some copy here that one of the group members in the Blogs by Jarvis, Blogging with Jarvis AI group gave me to work with. So basically this content is how do you make, use and simplify your grocery lists. And I have this formatted as an H1 so that Jarvis knows this is the most important thing that we're talking about here. And then the subheadings here, I've actually marked them as an H3. You could mark them as an H2 or an H3. But again, just to let Jarvis know that are the important pertinent points in the text here. So the context of this is basically somebody that wants to help you make, use and simplify grocery lists so that you don't forget things. And it doesn't have to be just grocery lists. It can be the, what to do lists. So these notes actually have been created by Deb by dictating. So she's dictated and converted that into text, and then she would be popping that into Jarvis here. So this isn't really formatted text in anywhere. They're kind of just like random thoughts, okay? So as you can see, there are a lot of questions here and lots of prepositions. So let's say you're going to Trader Joe's. You probably know the order of the store. Wouldn't you find it easy to shop if your lists were in store order? That kind of thing. Okay, so what we've done here, we've given Jarvis some content to work with, and we've told him the priority of the things that we want to talk about. And then we've given him some context here. So this is part of the recipe, telling him what we want to take into account. And then we're asking him to write a storyboard for the Instagram reel. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take the H1 and we're going to replace the variable here. Now that is going to reformat that. So we're just going to literally go here and take the formatting off of the command. If you have formatting like bold or an H heading or whatever on a command, it does tend to cause a few problems. So it's best if this is just plain text. And also, just so you know, you don't need the little arrow here when you write a command, but we do use that in formatting recipes so you know where the commands are. You can leave it in place or delete it. It's completely up to you. Jarvis doesn't really see it or do anything with it. So let's run that command and see what Jarvis comes up with. So I've just done Command Shift Enter so that that stays in place. Okay, now that's a little repetitive, so I'm just going to delete that and we're going to run that again. So Command Shift Enter to run that again. Okay, and now we have the storyboard from an Instagram reel about the tips of making, tips for making, using and simplifying grocery lists would consist of 4 panels. And here are some panels for the storyboard. The first panel is an image conveying the message that lists are important. This could be a grocery list on the fridge or an image of someone crossing something off. The second panel will have a drawing of a person holding their phone with an app on it, showing different options for the lists on there. Third panel, show different ways. So you can see that basically this is a storyboard. Now, I am not an Instagram Reels expert, but this looks like it would be quite a feasible reel to do to me, and with quite a powerful message. But interestingly, Jarvis has given us some more information here. The intended audience for this Instagram reel would be anyone who doesn't use grocery lists or needs help making one. Okay, so we know who our target audience is. The purpose of this Instagram reel is to inform the audience how to make, use and simplify grocery lists. That's great because that's what we told Jarvis in the H1. The action I want my viewers to take is to download an app that creates grocery lists or write out a list themselves. Okay, so we have an action. And the intended emotion for the viewer is that they would feel happy, relieved, motivated and proud. The beginning, middle and end of the storyboard would be the person makes a list, shops with the list and then feels happy because they were successful in not forgetting anything. I think that's done a pretty good job of fulfilling all of the criteria here. But just bear in mind the quality of the information, and the more information that you give Jarvis here, the better. But I do want to caution you to try and keep the amount of information you put here at around 400 to 500 words. And the reason for that is that Jarvis looks back that amount. So what that means is he's looking back a certain number of characters. It's actually around 3,000 characters, and there's a formula that basically says the average word is 5 characters long, so that would be about 600 words, and obviously we have some information here that is vital to include as well for Jarvis to see. So feed information to Jarvis here for sure, but don't dump 2,000 or 3,000 words because Jarvis will only see the very last portion of it. So again, just to clarify, try and keep the information that you feed to Jarvis at the start of a project to about 400 to 500 words, just so that you leave room for the recipe information and commands. So have a play with that. Let me know how you get on. But that's how to write an Instagram Reels storyboard with this recipe from Blogs by Jarvis.